Looks like the Udyr. Looks like Olaf is going to be the selection in that jungle. You could go for an AD carry yourself. You could go towards a support either. But the hover is center right now.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be taking the Olaf and the Zai here. I mean, Zai has been coming through as like the kind of go-to counter towards the Kaisa, just because you've got that range, you can try and stutter her up, you've got a little bit of self-peel with your Featherstorm as well, but we'll have to see if they decide to go towards it. Looks like a last-minute change over towards the Rell, which has kind of risen up as the big support in that bottom side, and works very well with champions like the Olaf, because the Olaf can get the slow. You can then set up for that big engage with the Rell, or even offer the stun towards the Olaf when he does close that gap, just to help keep this Olaf on top of his victim.
Yeah, I have to say, I prefer picking the Rell here anyway, just because you can pick your ADC third. They're not going to take another ADC. No need to prioritize that one. SofM goes for the Udyr that has been probably the most picked jungler on this patch. Now we have a Gragas as well, which again, likely to go to pin. Could be flexed to on, could be flexed, I mean, wherever, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think it'll
be
be
fun Gragas, I'm ready.
Yeah, I think it'll be on though, because honestly, the Gragas has kind of come through as this big counter to the Rell. You get the body slam to stop the Rell engaging, and when she is in that, well, de-steeded form where she's just walking around, it's so easy to get these casts in on top of her and try and set this up. So I think honestly, that's what we'll be looking at here from on. At least we're getting the Rell though paired with the Samira, so certainly a very aggressive bottom lane to work around.
Yeah. I can't let this one go. De-steeded. Dismounted.
Yeah,
Dagda.
my brain is just not on.
De-steeded.
It's not a word.
It's not a word.
No. No, I was like, no horsey, no horsey. I was like, I don't know what to say here.
Horseless mode. Less metal. We're going to have Camille and Aatrox banned away by TT. The Cassiopeia being respect banned by Suning here. I'd love to see something like a Zillion ban. If they ban Zillion, like Twilight has succeeded in his career at that point.
I don't know though. I think you're kind of looking at like the Orianna and the Syndra are the two big ones right now. Like once you kind of get through that, it's like, well, Syndra, Ori, Azir's off the table, Cassiopeia's now gone, the Zoe's gone, the Twisted Fate. Like you're right the way down the list. There's like you're kind of going into that, you know, B to A tier. That's a Veigar. Right. Wasn't a Zillion, but definitely still a Twilight special.
Yeah, I'm curious what we end up seeing in this mid lane now, as TT gonna go for a Sion. This has been one of the standard top lane picks these days that is just able to survive most laning phases and scale up. Angel still has that Victor open. Victor's something that he's leaned towards as well, but the Orianna you mentioned being hovered right now.
Yeah, so imagine we'll end up with like an Orianna and a Syndra matchup, unless they like heavily go towards like this dive style, which we're kind of seeing coming out from Suning. No, it's something like a Wukong or something for Bin in the top lane. Then you might see Twilight go towards the Nico, which has kind of been his prime like disengage tool when the Cassiopeia and this is gone. But we'll have to see what the decision is going to be. Bin could be giving us the Bwippo special here though.
I'm not going to talk about it until looked in. I don't believe it. I don't believe it until I see it. But you know what? If he goes for the Gangplank instead, I'm totally down for that, because we've seen Bin's Gangplank many, many times before. He's played it 3 times this split, and he's looked amazing on it. It's very much one of his special picks up in that top side.
Yeah, it's been incredibly strong, and certainly into the Sion you can get some decent time to scale. He just has to be careful around that level 6 mark, because there is the opportunity to set up for some really nice ganks with the Sion ult to knock him down. And the thing about the Sion, of course, is that with all these knock-ups, you're not really getting the opportunity to use the remove scurvy to get rid of that CC. So you will have to be careful as Bin, but certainly this is a matchup he'll be familiar with and should be able to scale relatively well into the later portion of the game.
Yeah, again, we're seeing this Syndra come through. Syndra somehow still being one of the absolute staples of the mid lane in the LPL, despite the fact that she now has less than 30% win rate. With as high of a pick rate as she has, that is unbelievably low. It's like the Graves pick. We keep on still seeing that Graves pick, even though the win rate is exceptionally low. I don't know about you, Dagda. I'm just not on board with the Syndra pick at all at the minute.
Yeah, it's struggling to find kind of its home in the meta right now, because when we were looking at the kind of the earlier games from like the last split, well, I say pre-Chinese New Year, you had the opportunity, Syndra, to burst out a whole bunch of people, and certainly you did last year with the previous items. Now, though, she's kind of sitting in this odd space where she kind of wants to go for Luton's Tempest for the burst, but she oftentimes ends up going to the Andrew's Anguish because there's so many tanks and she needs to burn through the front line a lot more. And she's opted into kind of being a CC boss. She doesn't have as much control in that mid lane as well, with champions like Orianna being able to go towards Merc threads first and just keep her in check. So overall, she's just kind of struggling a little bit to operate in the game-changing fashion that Syndra did prior.
Well, we'll see if Twyla can have a better run of it, but definitely looking towards Angel. He's on that Orianna. It's something he's played a ton of over his career, so should be a reasonably favorable matchup for him. But we'll have to wait and see as the game continues. But when we look across the board, it's definitely down to Sam D and Teen on the side of TT. They're the guys that are going to have to carry this game because Sion Syndra not really going to dominate lane in those matchups. But we all know what this new bottom lane can do, the Season 11 bottom lane, if you will. They can certainly pop off. Let's head on Summoner's Rift for game number 1 here between TT and Suning. Definitely feels like the kind of matchup that Suning should be looking to win.
Yeah, I mean, look, Suning have been struggling, and when you're playing against TT, this is definitely one that you need to be putting in the W column if you want any hopes of trying to push up towards playoffs. Because as you saw in the podcast before the show, myself, Lyric, and Munch, we all kind of doubt Suning's chances of really getting into, well, maybe not Munch. I know you had them in playoffs, but certainly myself and Lyric were kind of questioning whether they would be able to make it in towards playoffs. So, I don't know, especially when you're looking at this composition from TT, where Xiaopeng has so much control to play around that bottom side of the map. I'm curious to see if they can keep these dragons in check as Suning and stop TT from getting this early lead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, my audio is pretty low at the minute, but I'm pretty sure that was some Jayus and a crowd that we've got in the arena today, so that's pretty exciting. Feels like we're maybe coming back to normal. Late invade here from TT. I've just had it confirmed we definitely do have an audience. I saw it with my own 2 eyes, so it's whether or not you can trust your own senses, you know. SofM starting on his Krugs here, as Xiaopeng is just going to stay in the jungle. He's on a ward. SofM knows what's going on here. Xiaopeng does have his smite, but on moving over as well. SofM going to try and contest this red buff, and it's going to be down to the smite fight. Who's going to be able to hit the D key? It is SofM, and now Xiaopeng is in a little bit over his head on this one. Stayed too long, didn't have the support, and it's an easy kill for SofM.
Oh, it's sad times for Xiaopeng. Generally, when we see like this late invade coming through, you try to force the opponent jungler out of their own jungle, and then you can try and split the map. But unfortunately for them, they didn't actually force SofM out. He just goes towards his Krugs, and with being able to come across quickly, he'll be able to solidify that kill. Now, it does mean that at least the bottom lane for Suning is going to be in a little bit of a deficit here, because is level 1, hasn't been able to get that experience in the early stages. So be careful here, because Sam D and Teen could try to expose this and get an advantage through being underleveled.
Yeah, we'll see if they can find that 2v2, but you'd expect Suning's bottom lane to respect that and play very carefully. Xiaopeng now on to his Raptors. This is only his second camp. Obviously, he took the first Raptors on SofM's side of the map, but this is only his second camp on his half of the map, and he's been spotted on a ward. So SofM right now playing with full information of what's going on. We'll be able to go for that topside scuttle. I wouldn't be surprised to see SofM grab a double scuttle here.
Yeah, especially when you've got this push from Angel in the mid lane as well. He's been doing a really good job of trading against Twyla. Usually you actually don't see the Orianna being the one coming out with the health advantage in these early stages, so fair play to Angel to be able to solidify that. They will get the double recalls coming through to get the TPs in, but it looks like SofM actually just decided, you know what, I'm not willing to try and contest onto this bottom scuttle, so we'll give it a cross. But this faster reset, getting those boots, will enable SofM to do a heap, and actually might find Xiaopeng here on the Raptors.
Xiaopeng's like, look, I've only died here once so far this game, and that's just not enough for me. So he goes for the re-invade. SofM already there, though. Grabs his camp, and he's now got about a 2-3 camp lead for himself, or 2 camp lead here for himself, as the blue buff started by Xiaopeng, and I don't think SofM's going to go in and contest. He's going to move over to his Krugs instead. So the jungle matchup kind of settles down for a second.
Yeah, this is a pretty nice... Oh, actually, bot side might get a gank. No, they're going to be able to walk away. But this is a pretty nice setup for Suning, who... Well, he talks about, like, TT want to be playing around this bot side, but because Xiaopeng's so far behind, they can't do anything.
Oh, no. SofM, that's the second camp that he's outsmited from Xiaopeng this game. Xiaopeng flashes out with his life, but his dignity is in tatters at this point, as SofM will take the wolves on top of that. And Xiaopeng... Look, I appreciate that he's making an attempt here. I appreciate that he's going for these early invades and that, but it has all gone so wrong for him. Now SofM can do whatever he wants. He can go wherever he wants on the map.
Yeah, and you can see it. He's just going to circle around. Raptors are about to spawn. Cool. SofM can move in towards...
side here. This is going to be a 2v2 kill. And Huanfeng jumps forward to try and finish that one off. The Q finishes it off, and Teeen won't be able to trade it back.
I was too busy watching SofM's party because I'm not going to get a chance to talk. They're going again.
Yeah, we got an action-packed game, and I'm okay with that one, to be honest, Dagda. SofM gets yet another camp as Xiaopeng is kicked out of his own jungle. Xiaopeng, you don't get to play today! As SofM grabs the kill, and Bin's like, Chelizi, did I say you could leave that tier 1 tower? I don't think so, buddy. You get back under the tower.
Oh, this is a disaster for Xiaopeng. Like, whatever about that bottom side of the map, like, Xiaopeng hasn't got to farm in so long. SofM is going to take his Raptors as well, and look at where the lanes are positioned, right? Top lane pushed in, mid lane pushed in, bot lane pushing in. You don't even have help. Like, you can't even try and invade to get some of these camps back. SofM is just going to sweep through his own jungle now, reset, and go and invade on towards Xiaopeng once again.
Yeah, the really sad thing is you see Teen had roamed up there to try and stop the SofM invade, but it's already gone down. Now Angel's in trouble. No. As Teen comes in, Angel has his flash available, but he doesn't go for it. He's gone for it now, but it's way too late. The cannon barrage, though, final axe comes through. SofM trying to trade on to Xiaopeng. The cannon barrage is there. Maybe they get one kill. SofM gets out. Oh my god, the triumph saves him. How do they get away with a 1-for-1 there? On now, looking for a kill onto Twilight. Dagda, this is pure chaos. I love it.
The thing is, though, like, Angel needed to not give over those kills, because the thing with Xiaopeng has just gone, right, I don't get to farm. I'm going to start stealing away some of this experience from my lanes, and if he can get kills, that's the experience that could get Xiaopeng back into this game. If Xiaopeng's just sitting in mid lane sharing experience with Twilight, you're just putting Twilight further behind, and Xiaopeng is still going to be useless. So if Suning's lanes can just play safe, they can use the advantages that SofM has picked up. But right now, like, this is going to be a disaster for TT. If your jungler is this far behind, you're going to end up finding that, look, we can't go for these early dragons. We can't find these team fights, these front-to-back styles that our composition wants. And Suning can let this Gangplank scale up, give time for Orianna to scale up, and then look for the side lane split push with Bin, and look for flanks where they can get SofM and Bin into position to put threat onto the TT backline.
Put respect on the name, but On not respecting this bottom lane at all, and Sam D should be able to pick up yet another kill on this bottom side. It's not going so well for Huanfeng either, as he's melted down, but almost traces the kill. Teen underneath the tower though, and he grabs the double kill for Sammy D. This is the lane we said needed to win, and they're doing everything they can for TT.
And this is the snowball effect on the opposite side. Remember what we said? Because On had got to move across to help SofM, he was behind levels, he was behind experience, he wasn't able to soak up that first wave, and it gives so much control to Sam D and Teen, who are running away with this bottom lane. But god damn, Xiaopeng, I'm so sorry for you. This is awful.
Look at the CS difference. He's 34 CS up in the jungle. And he's like, oh, Xiaopeng, you wanted to do your red buff? I don't think so. Just runs in and Xiaopeng's like, yeah, I can't fight this. I'm out of here. And now, Herald, you mentioned this right at the start of the day, Dagda, as an objective that both of these teams love to snowball through. And it's very clearly SofM that will grab this.
Yeah, SofM will be able to grab that with, like, you're not even trying to contest the Xiaopeng. Like, if Xiaopeng goes towards an objective, he's only putting himself further behind. Like, the experience versus the time investment that you get from, like, Dragons and Rift Herald is just not worth it. Like, all he wants to be doing right now is farming every single camp he can possibly get his hands on and trying to get back into this game. Because you can already see a 40 CS lead there for Xiaopeng. Now, he actually is going to go towards the dragon to try and trade this, but you're going to see SofM is going to be like, cool, I'm going to come back towards this bot side, I'll threaten you in dragon, and I'll just run into your jungle and take all your camps once again.
Looks like SofM is going to opt out of the Dragon. Maybe just because of that bot difference that's going on right now. Because I'm not going to lie, if I'm looking at that bot 2v2, I'm definitely favoring TT. So I can understand SofM not wanting to contest for now. Did get the Herald though. So the question will be where he slams that Herald. You could just go top with that one. Because he's been the carry for the team before. He's doing pretty okay on this Gangplank. But also, you could try and send it to the bottom lane to help out Huanfeng.
Yeah, I think he'll be using it on this bottom side. Like, trying to get some control back is going to be great. There is also the opportunity as well to just try and hang on to it for a little while and see if he can use it to get a bit of mid-priority, move Angel around the map, and then actually have Angel be that tool to help out this bottom side. Because as long as you can stop the bleed there, you're in great shape everywhere else. But the problem is, it's a pretty gaping wound right now. With that Immortal Shield bow already completed at 10 minutes into the game, like, Sam D is massive right now. He has the capability to 1v9 this game with how strong he is right now.
Yeah, he is huge. And he's on the Samira, right? Like, if there's a champion in the game right now that can 1v9 Samira when she spins around, remember, this is 11.3, right? So you can still dash to allies. Samira is still exceptionally strong on this patch. This is not the live patch that you're all playing solo queue on. So Sam D, 3-1-0. He's finished his shield bow as well. He's in a really, really fantastic position to pop off in this game. The big difference, right, is look at the junglers. Turbo Chem Tank already finished for SofM. He's the first one on his team to finish a Mythic, which is not something you see often. And now he's making a play onto Twilight. Look at him fly into the lane with the cannon barrage as well. What can you do? Twilight didn't have flash. There is no counterplay.
Yeah, the pick potential with how far SofM is ahead is kind of nutty right now, and you're seeing it there. And I think we're going to see a lot more of SofM in these bear slaps, because when we get towards team fights, he has to be the one essentially to keep Sam D in check. Like, the mobility on the Samira means it's going to be really hard for Angel to position the ball correctly to get shockwaves. Same when you look towards Gragas trying to land these casts. So expect like SofM to just be flashing onto Sam D, or at least trying to jump on top of the Samira every time she goes in with the Infernal trigger to keep Sam D in check and stop him from taking over this game.
And that is going to be a much needed reprieve as well for Angel when we look at that trade, because Angel was starting to fall behind a little bit. It was about 10 CS behind at one point in that lane. So SofM managing to get that gank in, get him another assist, close out the CS gap as well. Angel was able to, I think, grab a fight in the mid lane. So that will reduce the lead that Twilight was starting to build for himself. And it does mean that now we've got a winning jungle matchup, we've got a winning top, and even mid. So it's just the bottom lane that's the issue for Suning right now. And it's the bottom lane that is very much the hope for TT. But Drake's coming up in 2 minutes, and you feel like maybe TT, this is the point of the map that they can leverage. But Suning want to fight on this one. Sam D already so low in the play. Jumps in, though. SofM could be shut down here. Huge amount of gold into the pocket of Sam D. Bin's come in, but he's totally alone on the top side of the fight. Taking a bit of damage. Teen trying to chase this one down. He is one quick pirate, but he's still pulled back into the fray. Teen trying to chase this, but they've chased too far, and they're separated from the squad. The rest of Suning don't go for the play with SofM down.
This is such a crucial win for TT, though. Not only do they get the kills, but getting farm onto Shoutpunk, shutting down SofM, and all that gold going into the Samira as well. Like, this is the best way for TT to try and play this game and get themselves back into a winning position.
SofM is giga big, but Sam D is giga bigger right now, because with that shutdown in his pocket, he's not head back to base just yet. I want to watch his inventory. You can see him recalling. Let's see what items he's able to grab for himself. It's going to be a big pickup. Chelizi looking for a 1v1 onto Bin. I don't think that's a 1v1 that Sion could win. Bin is going to be able to just clear the wave here and get out of dodge, I think. SofM's moving up. Turns out Bin was just baiting all along. SofM gets the stun. It is a Sion, though, so nothing much going to come of that one. Hey, Dagda, I just want to quickly update on something.
Yeah.
SofM's Herald is timed out.
True. And a lot of that has to do with this play. Because he hasn't actually had a chance to get anywhere, he goes down in this play as well. He didn't get to use that. So, again, like, more wins going in favor of TT. And the fact that TT have kind of identified, hey, look, we just play around this bottom side of the map and we can actually get Xiaopeng back into this game. And like, as you can see there, only a 20 CS lead versus the 40 that we saw in the early stage of the game. Sam D is now getting more kills. He's looking really good. Like, TT are bringing this game back, and Suning, this is not looking as clear-cut as it did from the early Snowball SofM.
When you consider where we were like 5 minutes ago, this is a dramatically different state of game. However, like, I would say that assuming SofM doesn't get caught out like he did in the last fight, Suning are still in a good spot. It's just about whether or not they can get on Sam D. It feels like very much it's SofM versus Sam D in this game right now. Ocean Drake is on the map though, and I think Suning want to force the play onto this bottom side. Sam D and Teeen though, I don't know if these are the guys that you really want to fight right now or how big Sam D is.
But that's what I was going to say, is that like with how big Sam D is, TT are actually okay to try and threaten this. There was a moment of opportunity where Xiaopeng was coming from the base they could have fought, but now it's a bit too late.
Xiaopeng moving into the mid lane here alongside Twyla, but they're just going to be kicked out by Angel. So mid prio will go the way of Suning, but TT are like, you know what? Sod mid prio, let's just go for the Drake straight up. SofM's on the top side of the map. They're going to trade Herald for Drake here, unless some miraculous Q can come out, but On's going to fall just short on that one. Dashes over the wall. Huanfeng just getting a bit of damage in. But it will be TT now with 2 Drakes back to back here. And Suning should be able to finish this Herald off for themselves. Chelizi, I don't think will have any way to contest. The question is, Dagda, can Suning actually press the right button and drop the Herald in a lane?
Look, it is tough, all right? You know, there's a reason Syndra's ultimate's called the outplay button. It's really difficult to find the right key on your keyboard sometimes to actually drop it. So I think we'll have to keep our eyes on SofM to see if he's got those mechanics to pop it down this time. But honestly, I'm taking this still as a win for TT. Like, sure, you got that top tower going down, right? That's great. You're probably going to be able to get some damage, probably not fully take that mid lane turret when SofM uses the Rift Herald there. But the problem is you're now looking down the barrel of a 3rd dragon with Inferno Soul on the cards for TT. And you're really far behind when it comes to just raw team fight damage. I know the gold lead is in favor of Suning, but with how big Sam D is, it's going to be really hard to keep this Samira in check. And you can already see, like, TT realize this. They're fully getting control of this bottom side. And if they're able to play through this Samira with the 4 kills, they can win team fights. And then Suning don't really have an opportunity to stop them taking this soul.
Ooh, Bin is stepping a bit far up this lane here. He's got 2 items though. He is big, but he doesn't get to play when he's just CC'd like this. The Viking is there, and it's an easy kill for Chelizi. In the meantime, On is caught out on the bottom side of the map as well. TT playing all the way across the map right here. Won't finish off the kill on the support, but a huge pickup onto Bin, who was, before that play, the richest man on the Rift. I think Sam D will have overtaken him again.
Yeah, Bin getting shut down is super nice, and that was exactly what we talked about with the opportunity where Sion's knockups don't count as CC that he can just cleanse, so it means it's very easy to set up for these ganks. Now that Xiaopeng has actually got himself back in towards this game. Rift Tower will go down in the mid lane, but the tower will be taken overall by Syndra.
So important to mention here, to just quickly catch up with where we're at in the game. Bin did manage to get that first tower on the top side. Now with the Herald going mid, Angel finishing that mid tower, Suning have a 2-tower advantage over TT. If they can crack this bot lane tier 1 as well, going into the next Drake, they would have a huge advantage in terms of map control. The problem with that is you got to get through Sam D and Teeen first. And we said coming in that Sam D and Teeen, especially Teeen, were 2 of the most promising players on this roster. They have proved it in this game. They're managing to bot gap against Suning right here. And you have to look towards that lane as the shining ray of hope for TT.
Yeah, I think the best thing for TT here is to make sure that they're just resetting on time. Because the biggest issue that I've had with TT in a lot of these objectives is that they're just not backing at the right time. Where it'd be like 20 seconds until a dragon and you're still seeing resets.
Well, SofM running into lane faster than Chelizi would have been running if he'd managed to get that ult off. We'll flash away to safety. The TP comes in from Twyla, but SofM's like, all right, 2v2, let's go. 3v2, I'll take this one on as Angel arrives. And Chelizi and Xiaopeng are forced away from the fight. Twyla runs away with his tail between his legs. You know, it looked good for a second there for TT, but Udyr too big, man.
And this is where I get a little bit worried for TT, because they still need to play around Sam D. Like, you could see where they tried to go for that play in top and also on the ramp there in towards the blue side jungle, or, well, back of red pit, basically on blue side, that they can't really fight unless they've got this Samira with them. And when you're trying to make these plays around top side, it's great if you can make a quick pick, but committing TPs on multiple members is going to end up being a little bit scary.
Yeah, the one big concern as well I have for the win condition of we need this Samira to pop off is Samira needs the ult to really, really pop off in a fight. And Udyr has this button on his keyboard. It's called E. And when he presses the E button, he turns into a bear. And then when he can right-click anything, Samira stops getting to play the game. So it becomes kind of a difficult win condition to set up for TT unless they can get SofM out of position, pick him off like they did earlier on in the game.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at right now, is this like stare down essentially between these two as they like look at each other across the rift. It's like the old school standoffs that you see in cowboy movies. It's just like the music starts playing, it's like, all right, we know it's about to happen. And with this dragon up, I thought it was about to happen, but it looks like Sunny aren't really in a position to try and go for this, although now SofM moving across. Sam D still on the bot side though.
Yeah, Bin's going to TP in. This is going to be a fight for us right here. This is going to be the big old skirmish as Twyla stunned up. And SofM now goes onto the Drake. Bin on the flank as On dashes away to safety. Huanfeng just trying to push that wave out before he moves up. Will now be free to do so. Xiaopeng steps up to the Drake now. Suning playing a battle on both fronts. There's an explosive cascade and everybody goes. TT ground up in the middle of the fight, but they're able to group up and turn this one around a little bit. SofM trying to get back in, but Sam D whiffs the ult a little bit. Nobody's in range and it'll be 2 kills. No, Teeen flashes away onto the blast cone now and gets out to safety. It's a 1-for-1, all things considered, but it's TT that have to leave the Drake.
Beautiful cast from On to set that play up, knocking the entire backline of TT into the waiting hands of SofM. You can see SofM is like happy to just chase down this Samira the entire way through the fight, which means the Inferno Trigger does nothing. So good fight from Suning. Great opportunity now to get this dragon and stop the stacking that TT have been getting in their favor.
Yeah, Suning able to get back on the board when it comes to those dragons. Even though the fight wasn't that convincing, I want to just quickly look at the gold right here, because despite the advantages we've seen in the bottom lane, despite the few things that have been going the way of TT, gold right now is 3,000 in favor of Suning.
Yeah, this fight is such a nice boon towards that gold. You can see here, like that cast setting up beautifully for SofM. Again, Bin on these massive flanks, getting so much damage off as Sam D is trying to deal with both Bin and SofM keeping him out. So you can see this Inferno Trigger just hits nothing. He's getting no damage off of that. And that's where Suning are able to go, right, we can get in here, we can set this up. But now with the 3,000 gold lead for themselves, these team fights start to look a lot easier for them.
Honestly, one of the big things there is if Bin's ulti was on the ramp instead of just in the river there, that could have been a much bigger team fight for Suning. So slight misplacement of the Gangplank ult. But I want to quickly revisit that Gangplank, because look at the items right now. Look at the CS that he's on. More than 10 CS per minute, and he has been for the last few minutes of the game as well. I've been checking. And he's getting towards that Infinity Edge. When Gangplank hits 3 items, Dagda, I don't know if TT can still team fight at that point.
I mean, it very much comes down to the positioning of their backline. Right now, it hasn't been the best, and it hasn't been the best for a long time. Like, as we talked about, like, the team fights are definitely where TT struggle. So when we're coming into the next few big objective fights, like 3 minutes on this dragon, the Baron that's up and available, we need to see if TT can keep themselves, away from the danger zone that is SofM and Bin.
SofM is definitely the danger zone this game. We'll see if Maverick can step up. Here we go. TP coming on through. Team the target as On will walk away with his life for now. Chelizi comes in, but he's knocked back. Huanfeng free firing as Teeen goes down Bin with some barrels over the wall right there. It's going to be 1 for 0. TT with position, but ultimately losing the fight. They lost the pick. And the rest of Suning can just regroup now, reposition, and go for the fight again. Bin off to the side, looking to get some barrels in onto the enemy team. Good by Twyla. He's off the poop deck He's been forced off of the plank and into the ocean. Now Chelizi should be able to get out of here. Does have his flash available, but this should be Baron for Suni.
Yeah, these fights are so messy from TT. Like, you've got Chelizi's TPing in, and Sam D isn't able to even get in range to get an auto attack off the entire time before Teeen and Chelizi are either dead or forced back. Now Suni full control over this Baron, and they should be able to nicely pick this up and continue to grow that gold lead for themselves.
Did you see that? Angel just pulled the red buff to the edge of the Baron pit so Huanfeng could last hit the red buff. That is some like 5-head buff stealing.
But we're going to be looking at this team fight again. Like, you've got the TP coming in here, but look at where Sam D is. Like, Sam D is continuously chasing this fight. When you've got a short range AD carry like this, you need to enable them somehow to get into these fights, either by having a bunch of CC that can actually lock them up, allowing them to play around their shorter range, or by playing a composition that kind of, well, the opponents have to run into them so you can use the Samira. But unfortunately for Sam D, like, he gets maybe 3 autos attacks off in the majority of this fight before it's already set in stone.
Sam D jumps in and he just gets chomped down by the Udyr in the end. I actually miscalled it during the fight. I said that Bin got Teeen with a barrel. Bin wasn't even in the fight when Teeen went down. He just ulted from across the map to finish that kill off. And then when he arrives, he just completely one-shots Twyla with a barrel instead. So Bin, even though he wasn't there to start with, still having a huge impact on the fight. And now he gets some free time to just push away in this bottom side. And let's be honest, at this point in the game, nobody can contest him.
Nobody can contest it right now, honestly. Like, the lead that Sam D had is pretty much gone at this stage, and the rest of TT are struggling to try and keep up. So Suni now in a great position. You can see Bin just with this Baron shoving away in the bottom side. Even if Chelizi comes across, well, that's kind of the tankiest member of TT just out of fights, and if On can get a good barrel, they can set up beautifully to take this turret.
Yeah, Suning can just set this siege up all day long in the mid lane, and TT will have to respond to the fact that Bin is pushing all the way to the inhib in the bottom side, and it opens up this window for Suning to move in onto the mid tower. Keep your eyes on Angel's Orianna ball. He's positioning it so aggressively, waiting for TT to step a little too far forward. Bin, though, taking a lot of damage from Twyla. Turns it around. Twyla barely gets out with his life. Now Bin's in trouble. Does have the shield from his shield bow, but will go down. Kill for Chelizi here. And I think Suning just have to back away. Drake is up right now, and this is a bad time for Bin to have died. 40 seconds on that death timer. Maybe this is an opportunity for TT. Twyla has his teleport available. You see it in the bottom side there. There's SofM. He's tanky, but how tanky? That's a great cast from On to save his jungler, and he was just buying time. The Drake goes down. Huanfeng finishes it off. The shockwave to disengage, and that is very nicely played by Suni.
Very, very well played. If they'd actually let TT get in towards River, they either could have taken the fight afterwards or stolen the dragon, but being able to keep them away from the pit was so crucial by SofM. But you can see here, Bin's damage is just insane. Bit overextended, obviously trying to get underneath the tower, gets rooted in place and then forced back, and the rest of TT can chase him down. But either way, like, Suning are still getting what they want. You're getting these towers down with the Baron. Bottom inhibitor tower is very, very low, and Bin can just rinse and repeat. He can head down towards this bottom side of the map. No real pressure on him for the next 2 minutes, and they can just look to pick up this next Baron when it spawns.
Yeah, when I said no one on TT can contest Bin, I didn't realize it was like, if you walk in range of a Q, he will one-shot you. I didn't realize it was quite that level of not able to contest. On wants a 1v1 onto Xiaofeng, who is 4 levels up on him right now, but he's got a stopwatch. He was baiting all along. He's still going to go down to the reckless swing. Pro tip for anyone that's watching, if you are a support and you're 4 levels down on the enemy jungler who's playing Olaf, probably don't start a 1v1 with them. SofM, he's starting a 1v4 in the mid lane. Flashes out and just zips away at the speed of light. So he'll be fine.
Yeah, does have to burn the flash though, which can be pretty crucial in team fights. Like, not having that up for Baron or even the next dragon could pose a little bit of an issue, but Suning, with the full control that they have on the map, with top and bot pushing in, mid being in their favor as well, it's going to be really, really difficult for TT to try and contest these objectives. Like, the vision can get choked out pretty handily by Suning, and then moving through the jungle to try and get towards the likes of Baron is going to be a tall order unless they can have Chelizi lead the way.
We'll see if Chelizi can find a way in here. And on kill score, we're actually on a very even game. But unfortunately, kills aren't the only objective in League of Legends, Dagda. And when it comes to gold, it's Suning 7,000 up. When it comes to Drake, TT got the first 2, and then Suning have got the next 2. They are on the stack right now. And it's stacking Infernal Drakes. That feels real bad for TT. Especially when you've got things like Huanfeng on this Kaisa, when Lord Dominic's is his second item, so he is hitting like a truck, and even Chelizi won't be able to survive an onslaught from him. And he's going to go for an IE 4th item. Huanfeng is going to start shredding people. He's been behind all game because Samdi was so ahead, but that lead no longer exists.
And that's the thing, that Suning have just done a better job about playing around the win condition that this game gave them, which was SofM. Like, they were able to find these picks, consistently use Udyr to get on towards like the turnaround counter ganks from the top lane and that, whereas TT just haven't found an opportunity to really use Samdi. Even when there was like the likes of the dragons up, their setup for that objective really hurt, where Samdi was in the bottom lane. They didn't really get the opportunity to push back Suning. And again, they're just not really playing towards where their strength was on the map. And now Suning have caught up and surpassed them and are in full control of this game.
Yeah, Suning, and especially SofM, just sprinting around the map, going wherever he wants. On maybe has overstepped here. Chelizi in a position to force the engage if he wants to, but realistically, On not the best target they want to go for. Obviously, they can kill On, but support not the ideal pick. And I think realizing that if they committed to that one, Suning would collapse immediately. TT, though, with positioning on the Baron right now, though.
You can see this is kind of like a desperation attempt here from TT. Suning are in a position to fight this. Careful of the Angel Shockwave when they're all grouped up in the pit like this.
All right, let's keep our eyes on the Orianna then, looking for the Shockwave. Cannon Barrage comes in the barrel to knock everyone out of the way. Angel turns golden as Huanfeng is just shredding everybody. Angel flashed out, and Huanfeng grabs himself a double just to start this fight off, but they're not done just yet. Chelizi trying to get out with his life scatter the weak, only stunning onto the support. Huanfeng jumps in, finds himself a third of the fight. Bin takes away the quadra kill from him, but they're just going to finish off Chelizi now. The flash forward from Huanfeng, exceptionally unnecessary, but who cares? They get themselves the ace.
They get the ace. They don't even care about the Baron. They want to crack open this base. I mean, you've got 20-second death timers left on anyone who's really going to put up a fight against Suning. They could look to end the game.
Another game win here for Suning, and you know, this felt a little unfortunate, especially for the bottom lane of TT, who managed to get themselves such a huge lead in the early game. But SofM making a massive valley of a jungle dip between him and Xiaopeng, taking game number 1 for Suning.
And it all came down to that early play from Xiaopeng and SofM, where Xiaopeng getting found in the jungle, gets picked off by On, and from that point forward, SofM is just able to pick up so many advantages, using them then to get in towards the lanes, turn around the counter ganks that Xiaopeng was trying to go for on that top side, setting up the rest of Suning for success. And unfortunately for TT, they had started to claw their way back into it. You can see Xiaopeng starting to go even level with SofM. It actually started to look okay, and they were playing pretty well around Sam D's advantage in the bot side. But when it came towards those dragons again, this team fighting coming back to bite them, where they're just not quite setting up in the manner that they should for these fights and these objectives.
Yeah, the one big thing, though, that kind of jumps out to me in this one is the fact that Suning, yeah, they get the win in the end, right? That means that in-game score, they're now 10-10, which, when you consider this is the squad that went to World Finals just a few months ago, you'd expect them to have a better scoreline than that anyway. But they're up against TT, who are 2-7 in the league right now. Like, statistically, just one of the worst teams in the league. This was not like a top team destroying a lower tier team, right? This was actually fairly close between the teams. Felt like Suning had to play it very slowly and very carefully. I feel like Suning, as a squad, should be miles and miles ahead of TT, and it didn't quite feel that dramatic to me across this game.
Yeah, it was definitely confident from SofM, But you can see in that bottom lane,
Every game
Huanfeng
is
and Honor,
confident from SofM.
yeah, but that bot lane was definitely struggling from Suning, and it's been one of the biggest criticisms I've had of the bottom lane. Now, I don't want to jump in too heavily on towards On, because of course it is his rookie year. He's still like trying to fill big shoes with Sword Art, but On's lane phase has been pretty atrocious for a large portion of this. Like when we get out of laning phase, like his team fights have been great. You can see him setting up the casks. Like his team fighting is actually quite strong, but certainly his laning phase has been letting down Suning quite a bit. I mean, Suning is a team that previously has kind of relied on, hey, we're going to let, Angel just do his thing. He's going to lane it out, pick up a bunch of gold. It'll be fine. Look, historically, it's been the same story for Huanfeng. And when Sword Art was in the team, it was, unleashing Sword Art from the bottom lane to go and work with SofM. When On's laning phase is setting Suning behind in that bottom side, it means that you can't have On work with SofM. They're not getting the same advantages towards Bin. And it's this kind of cascading effect that is really starting to hurt Suning. So I certainly think that we need to see the bot side of the map clean up for Suning, so this game looks a little bit more like we would have expected if it was the same game, but in summer 2020.
Yeah, it felt like Huanfeng managed to get himself a lead towards the end of the game, but it was off of the back of the lead the rest of his team had already garnered for themselves. We'll see if Suning can clean things up as we move into game number 2, or whether